I had to learn how to mature, understand what I can do and what I can't do. That's for one. And after that, hopefully, I have someone who's giving me or empower me with the right resources and allow me to go out there and do my job. You know, and
Right.
politics are vital now. There's a lot of advocates versus welfare, and I don't get into it. Sorry, I do my best not to get into it because at the end of the day, I want to resolve the problem. And you know my mantra: I will educate your ass to death, I will investigate your ass to death, and I want to eliminate the problem. So if you're the problem, I'll eliminate your ass too. But I really want to go there and see. Okay, I mean, get me wrong. I'm a lot different now. I'm a lot older. Oh my God, I'm ancient. But I've learned how to assess what I need to assess, talk to whomever, and then say, okay, let's come up with a strategy and a plan. Some people need resources, other people need
Right.
discipline. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because,
Absolutely.
yeah, you know,
That all comes into your people skills
yes,
and you know to read folks. Are they going to follow through on the education, or they don't care? Then fine, tickets, court, whatever.
right.
But if you have the opportunity to educate it so this doesn't happen again, and they're amenable to it, it's wonderful. And you mentioned there knowing what's going to work with this person.
Right. Because everybody's different.
That is everybody's different, and you know whether it's a cultural background.
Mm-hmm.
There's many different people come
Mm-hmm.
from all different
Mm-hmm.
types of backgrounds, and animals mean different things to different cultures,
Exactly.
and that's part of the education is understanding where they're coming from and how you can bring them up to where you're at.
On that note, what's the best thing you like about your job?
All the different people that I get to meet throughout the day.
Wow.
Uh, I'm serious. I love working in this community because it's so diverse.
Mm-hmm.
My interests are very diverse. I mean, I'm big into languages. I'm big into culture. Um, when I work with somebody, um, especially if I can tell that they're not from the area, I try to break ice and find out where they're coming from,
Mm-hmm.
maybe what their heritage is, what their
Mm-hmm.
mother tongue is. I try to get them to, hey, how do you say dog in your language? You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
something to ice, and then when they understand that you're respectful of them, then you've broken down that barrier between like law enforcement and the community, and then communication happens. So honestly, I have been in the wealthiest homes. I have been in the homeless camp. But all these people are individuals who are deserving of my respect, and it's just so amazing to get to learn different life stories, what people are going through, and then putting that in your bank of knowledge.
You know, with that being said, so I have a huge Latino Hispanic community in Hyattsville, right across the street because I'm in DC and I work in Maryland. So, you know, my Spanish skills had waned coming from Brooklyn. It waned, you
Absolutely.
know, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And then when I came down here, I had to get my Spanish back up. So I do my best to do my Duolingo, stuff like that. And I have my cheat codes and stuff like that. So when I go out, I'll see. And the thing is, when I do my Spanish and talk my Spanish, I see a lot of slang, and my enunciation is garbage. But they appreciate you trying. Know what I mean? So when
Yes,
I come
yes.
out there, I say, "Tu quieres un perro," right? And we talk, and they like this. Oh, I'm like that. Ho, 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 Paquito, Paquito, just a little, goddamn it! Don't come at me. You know, brr, stick 'em, ha ha ha, stick 'em. Don't come at me fast. And then we have a general conversation. I'm like, hey, I speak a little bit. Meet me halfway, and that opens so many doors. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, it does.
You know?
Absolutely. And if you could throw a compliment out to them, like,
Yes,
no, your English is good,
yes,
and then they feel proud, like, oh, somebody recognizes that, said I speak good English.
right.
So, and then you've empowered them in a
Yes,
way to feel
yes,
good about themselves and
yes.
their ability. Oh,
You know, like I said, going to what's your favorite movie or book?
wow. Well, Uh, my favorite book would be um, The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Okay.
Um, Many people know about The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings. The Silmarillion was written after those,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like the precursor to those. It's what happens that created the world before The Hobbit and
Mm-hmm.
The Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In terms of movies, honestly, my favorite movie of all time has got to be Top Gun.
That's red on. That's red on cue, brother. That's red on cue. With Maverick coming out, did you see Maverick yet?
I haven't seen
Oh,
Maverick
son,
out,
son.
but it's I remember seeing that movie for the first time. I remember when I first was able to get an iPod, and now I've got my iPhone. So I've got the soundtrack,
Yes.
and I don't know how many calls I've gone out to playing the Danger Zone.
Oh my God, that's dope.
It's it helps put the sound, that Danger Zone song actually puts me
Mm-mm.
into a hyper focused mode
Yes. Yes.
where I am literally soaking everything in that's coming at me as I'm trying to get to the scene,
Yes.
and it's prepping me for when I get there. And it's funny, back when they came out with games after the Top Gun movie,
Mm-hmm.
I used to I perfected that move on the game so that I could actually slow down, let a plane get in front of me, and shoot it down. Well, when I was in college, I did that. My friends were like, "Whoa, what did you just do?" I said, "I did the Maverick movie."
Right.
And,
Right. 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 Right.
you know, and I bring so much from that, like in terms of like your ambition and your drive and all that, but then also fine tuning your skills
Mm-hmm.
in whatever profession you're at, and then being good enough so that when you need to improvise, because that's what Maverick was all about, was improvisation, right? He was one of the best flyers in the world, but he took it to the edge and then some. You know, that's what I take from that movie.
That was awesome, and I seen the new Maverick. No spoiler alerts. It's dope. All right, let's get another one in here. Your most interesting case.
Oh boy. Honestly, the most interesting case is probably the most gruesome case that I've had to deal with. And you're aware with the attack that happened on a young boy
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And knowing when I first got that call, when you're in the game, as long as we were at, you know where certain dogs live. And I was just praying to God that when I got the call about a boy being attacked by a couple of dogs, that it wasn't the dogs that I was thinking of. But I was correct. I
Mm-hmm.
was correct. And it was intense. It was very intense. I have never seen so much blood at a scene before
Mm-hmm.
or since, in terms of the blood lost by that young man. And then the dedication of the police department joining up with us, tracking down the dogs, because the dogs were not on the scene when we arrived.
Right.
So within a matter of probably 30 minutes, we had successfully rounded up one of the dogs. The other dog, we couldn't find it anywhere. Come to find out that the dog, like we had guessed, had ran home once the chase was on.
Right.
And I had told the people that if the dog came home, they had to surrender to the shelter.
Right.
I was able to go to the hospital to interview um, the young man, this boy who was not even hardly 10 years old at the time. His parents weren't there, and just to see his wounds, he was lucky that he was actually a bigger kid, because a smaller child would have sustained much greater injuries than what he got.
Mm-hmm.
But his mom wasn't there yet. All he could do was, where's my mom? Where's my mom? Where's my mom? And as the doctors were trying to, take X-rays and do stuff like that, at one point I just had to kind of drop everything and hold this young man's hand to help him deal with the pain until his mother got there. Um, then, of course, when his mom got there and she actually saw some of his wounds, she fainted.
Mm-hmm.
I caught her going to the floor
Mm-hmm.
when she saw her son in that condition. Um, but I tell you what, the collaboration between the medical field, between the police officers, the sheriff's department, and the deputy sheriffs that were involved, because these were dogs that did not live in our town, but regularly came into our town to run loose or create havoc. Um, and then just the reports that were generated from both the physicians that attended to this young man and from the veterinarian involved in the situation. Um, these were some really thorough reports that were generated by everyone involved, and I really felt proud to be a part of it. It was a horrific incident, and a young man who now pretty much has regained use of his legs and his arms and everything, maybe a little plastic surgery down the line. He's recovering well, and he still loves his own dogs. He's not
Good.
afraid of dogs.
That's good.
But even in the community itself, the school, because he was walking to school at that time, and so then we went to the school later on to talk to the children about how they should react, interact, or avoid reactions with loose dogs and things of that nature. It brought the community together, and so I really felt that the entire community learned a lot from that incident. The dog owners certainly learned a lot about the capabilities of the dogs that they had in hand. That was probably the most intense and the most fulfilling investigation that we ever had. In the end, I think there was somewhere near 500 stitches that this young man needed to receive in order to kind of put him back together. But it was, to me, it was just fascinating. It was really fascinating. Yes, it tugged at our heartstrings. In the end, I think the police department actually got him some tickets to go see a baseball game with his parents after he had recovered a little bit. They got donations for him. He got teddy bears, all that kind of good stuff. So it is nice to see the community come together out of a tragedy like that and prove that they really do care. And also to recognize the capabilities of certain animals when they do not have proper training and don't have proper supervision.
With that, we'll move on 1 second. But I'll go back real quick. I worked a few fatals. I worked several maulings in my time throughout my career. It is difficult to understand and work through it. I'm a machine, so I always see the victim as the victim, and only one time I got caught out where I got kind of personalized because I looked at the child as my son. I had to woosah and make sure I can still take the pictures and move the victim around and make sure I get pictures, stuff like that for court, stuff like that. You go into a level 1 trauma center, what have you, like that. I'm gonna move off real quick because we got to finish up because I only got 10 minutes of Zoom time, but we can continue this another time because I'm already bringing Matt back for my Mondays. And Q, you have so much to give me. We're gonna have to revisit a lot of things because again, I try to have our fans and listeners do this on a drive to work or a drive or a walk, stuff like that. So I don't try to make the episodes crazy long. But more about you. Favorite food to cook or eat?
I always say my favorite food is bulgogi, which is Korean barbecue.
Oh, okay.
Some killer bulgogi. She got the recipe from our Taekwondo masters,